Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I am your host, Zoe, with my partner in crime on the other side. Cantu, how we doing?
Good. I know it's been a good day. Astros didn't play today, so stress free. But they will be playing. Well, they're not playing while we're recording, but they will be playing on Thursdays. I mean, I'm sorry, on Wednesdays. So we'll see how that goes.
About to say you're getting a little ahead of yourself there. But yeah, episode 138. Astros down 0-2 in the ALCS. I honestly never thought that they would be in this position right now. I really didn't think so. The offense has been good in the ALDS, but in the ALCS, besides Jordan Alvarez and Michael Brantley, really nobody else producing, I'd say. So, and it's rough for them guys. Give credit to Jordan Montgomery though, which we'll talk about here with the recaps in a minute. He pitched his butt off for the Rangers. Astros did have some opportunities there to scratch a run, but it just didn't happen. Same thing with Nathan Uvalde. Astros had seen very well against him. He did give up some solo shots, but it just hurts when we're going to talk about this in a minute, that runners at scoring position, it was just dreadful for the Astros these two games really. So we'll talk about the recaps of ALCS game 1 and 2. We'll give our thoughts on the Astros after these two games, and then preview game 3 pitching matchup for the Astros and the Rangers. So Angel, I've already kind of described myself seeing these two games. How would you describe it, seeing the Astros played through these two?
It was an atrocious series at home. Honestly, the Astros had their chances, like you said. They just couldn't capitalize. That offense. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more, but that offense needs to wake up. But honestly, this is giving me 2019 vibes in the World
Mhm.
Series. That's what I was telling my wife earlier that, last time the Astros fell 0-2, I believe, was in the World Series, and they came back and won on 3 games on the road. And the Astros have been playing well on the road. So there is optimism. There's still hope, right? If the Astros win game 3, hope's very much alive. But if they lose game 3, then unless they do something magical like the Boston Red Sox, it's been kind of hard.
Think about it too. The Astros were kind of in that road in 2020, but that was without fans in the stadium. They almost had came back in the ALCS against the Rays, but yeah, I agree with you. Game 3 is pivotal. They got to find a way. The offense has to wake up. Like you said, they have played well on the road. Same thing that you said too about the 2019 vibes. Astros lost 2 at home. They go to Nationals Park, went 3 there, come back to Houston, then lost the 2 right there. That never happened. It would be history. I believe this is like an 80% chance whoever is down 0-2, whoever is up 2-0, which are the Rangers right now, they would honestly take the series, and they're just 2 more games away from the World Series. They haven't made the World Series since 2011, but I think all Astros fans would be so heartbreaking, just heartbroken about the fact that Rangers fans are from in the future are going to be talking about this down the road if the Rangers do win this series. But Angel, start off with the recaps of ALCS games 1 and 2, because
Well,
being at home field advantage, you think the Astros will at least win one of those games, but it's just been this whole season with the home record at Minute Maid Park.
Well, before we do the recap, I do agree with you when you said off air that if there's a team that can come back from the situation, is this team, just because of all the adversity they faced, with injuries and inconsistency. But I don't know, it could happen. But let's go to those recaps, right? Those ALCA game 1 and game 2 recaps. And honestly, the Astros offense was non-existent in game 1. It's basically a ghost, right?
Yeah.
Jose Altuve 0 for 3. That's your table setter. Like I think this team runs off Altuve. When he gets on base, good thing happens, and when he's not, like it's hard to get them going. Alex Bregman 1 for 4. He was robbed of 2 hits from Evan Carter. Now that was a nice play. Altuve,
Yeah.
those mistakes can happen on the base path, especially in this crucial of a game. And then Jordan Alvarez was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Now he might have been suffering from a flu that game as well, or like a headache, like headache or upset stomach. But they had a plan for Jordan Alvarez, just pitch him hard inside and then away with the soft stuff. And that's it. It worked against Montgomery. Uh, Jose Abreu was 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Again, Kyle Tucker 0 for 4 with You know, it's he was struggling. I think he's batting like under 100 in this postseason, so
Yeah.
it's not pretty. I think it's like 80 or 90 around
Yeah,
there. So
91 exact.
91. There you go.
091. So
So
yeah, that's pretty bad.
yeah, he was batting 111 coming into game one, and then had another 0 in game two, so it went down. But Jordan Montgomery was lights out, and it's crazy though because the Yankees traded him because they didn't see him part of their postseason or October run or September, whatever you want to call it. They didn't
Mhm.
see him plan it, so they're like, you know what? Let's deal this guy to the Rangers, and I guess he took that personal, like Deion Sanders.
Well,
It's
well,
personal.
actually, it was the Cardinals
No,
that
Cardinals. You're
traded him.
right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
yeah,
right. You're right. You're right. The Cardinals, and then the Rangers, and I guess he took that personal like Deion Sanders because he's been lights out ever since. A 6 and a third innings pitch, 5 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. He threw 9 pitches at a little 60 with strikes, and like you're right. I think he could have finished the inning, but it's a play as he played it safe. Trust that bullpen, but he was good. Uh, uh, he got off of situations and just was dicing through the Astros lineup for sure.
yeah. Before we move on to game two, Mike Maddox is the game changer of that pitching staff. And I said this in the offseason, I believe, when the Rangers had gotten Bruce Bochy and then they had added Mike Maddox to the pitching coach. He's done a fabulous job over there in Texas. You've seen the ERAs, you've seen the starting pitching. John Gray looks better. Andrew Heaney looks better than he was with the Angels. Um, and then he's going to be working with DeGrom and Scherzer next year. And then Jordan Montgomery, he'll be a free agent after this year. But yeah, you never know. Montgomery could come back with the Rangers and just stay with him, and that's who Mike Maddox was with in St. Louis. You remember Adam Wainwright, Jack Flaherty, Miles Mikolas. Their pitching staff last year was fabulous,
Great. Yeah.
and it was because of Mike Maddox. Not in year we talked about too. Maybe it was Yadier Molina effect with him being out. Going into retirement for the 22 season. Now 23 without him, the pitching staff just didn't look good. At the same time, too, look, Mike Maddox not being over there. Adam Wainwright had what, a 5 ERA this season, I believe.
Sounds
It was
about
just a
right.
different pitching staff. So Jordan Montgomery knows him more than anything because of his time in St. Louis. Same thing as Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer had been with him in 2019, I believe, um, with the Nationals. So Maddox has a good eye for the Astros, how to pitch them, and he just did that with Yordan Alvarez being the number one guy. He just shut him down with 3 strikeouts. You would have told me in game one that Alvarez would be striking out 3 times. I think you'd be foolish, but Montgomery did make him look foolish in those at bats in game one.
Oh yeah, he's been great, and like you said, they get Scherzer, and they get Scherzer tomorrow. So
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna go into that a little bit more. But yeah, I know it's gonna be a tough night for the Astros, but I think they can do it. But game two, you know what? I kind of had a feeling we're gonna see this kind of this Framber because he didn't look good the
Hmm.
first outing. It's just, and then the way the chirping was last outing against Rangers, well, I kind of had a feeling. He pitched 2 and 2/3 of an inning, 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned runs, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. The Rangers put up a 4 spot in that first inning.
Yeah.
Like they batted around, and it's just Farmer just didn't look sharp. He threw
Nope.
64 pitches, 42 strikes, 1 through 9 in the lineup. Like I said, like 1 through 9 batted around in the first inning, and it's just honestly, if Farmer pitches great, Astros win that game easy. Even
Yep.
though they had plenty situations, Astros could have held down, and it's all because of Jordan Alvarez. He's been again putting the team on his back, but he can only do so much. It's not like basketball or football. You can have your main player in every single play. Basically, got to like they have to wait their turn. I'm sure the Astros could bat Jordan Alvarez every inning, and they would,
Hmm.
but that's not the game it's played. There are two. He was 2 for 3 with 2 home runs, 2 RBIs, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. Now, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. That's something that I don't
That
like.
hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, because that means there were solo shots. No one was on base. And again, like I said earlier, it starts with Altuve. Easily, if Altuve gets on, that's a brand new ball game. tie
Mhm.
game, right? And speaking of Altuve, oh, actually, before I do that, let me go finish on his stats. So he became the first Astros player to have two multi-home run games in the postseason. Alvarez now has the most home runs by a Cuban-born player in the postseason, passing Randy Arozarena with 11. Right?
Mhm.
I kind of
I
have
mean,
to beat that.
that's pretty good company. And Randy
Yeah,
Rosarena with 2020, that was probably the best like postseason he's ever had. Because of course,
yeah,
when the Rays get to the postseason, honestly, I don't think any team is really scared of him.
yeah.
The only player you would have to be scared of is Randy Rosarena. But then you
And
feel for him because with everybody having so many good players, it's like Randy lands only a Rosarena show in Tampa Bay, which it sucks for him, but I mean he's doing what he can.
I actually looked up that stat the first game. You already hit two home runs. I was telling I was a press pass. I was telling some of the guys it was like he's tied like he's with Yuli Gurriel second, and then he was training Randy Rosarena, and now in the ALCS he's already passed, and that's how phenomenal he's been uh in his postseason. But the Astros had their chances to game two. Like
Yeah.
I texted in the group in the group chat we have like when it was bases loaded, no outs. I was like, if the Astros don't score here, that's it. That's how she
Yeah.
wrote because it was already like what fifth, sixth inning,
It
and
was yeah, fifth inning.
then that's when the game starts getting a little bit more tighter, right? Like like you're seeing a new pitcher almost every inning, so not the same guy, and then back-to-back strikeouts. That's
Can't do that.
and then
Can't do that.
and it's not like it was your 7, 8, 9. That was Yanier Diaz, which I think Mauricio Dubon. Like I do agree with you when you said that. I think Mauricio Dubon uh should have been there, but that's Jose Altuve batting
Yeah.
second. That's Alex
I
Bregman who couldn't get it. Like it's just that's
it
that was
hurts.
the game changer right there at that point. That was like it. It was a 2-3 run game at that point. Easily, it's two outs, so they're running on contact. Easily two score, depending where the ball is, maybe a third one. Right, so that's just I don't know. That
Just
just kind of happened.
just think about it. If they would have at least hit into a double play and at least to the middle infield, it'd be a tie ball game when Alvarez hits that home run off of Chapman.
And then it's a different game, different story.
Different game, different outcome. Yeah, like you said, different story, different scenarios of your pitching matchups. Things like that change the game. And bases loaded, no outs, no outs,
At least
0.
one. At least one needs to come around when that happens.
Yeah,
And I feel like with one, like even if one comes in, I feel like you lose that inning because easily could have been a lot more, right? But at
mhm,
least one.
yeah, totally agree.
On the positive side, let's end this on the positive note. Even though again,
Oh,
0 and
two.
2, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to find some positives, but the Astros bullpen was pretty phenomenal. Six and a third innings pitched, only one hit allowed, zero earned runs, two walks, and six strikeouts. Rafael
Magnificent.
Montero was actually pretty good. You know,
Yeah,
one in the third, two strikeouts. JP France came in a relief role, two innings pitched, one hit, one walk, one strikeout, and Phil Mayton followed that, 2/3 of an inning. Brian Abreu, an inning with two strikeouts, and then Ryan Presley, one inning with a walk and a strikeout. Now, you might be thinking, why is Ryan Presley up in there? Well, the Astros had a chance still to
yeah,
win that game, and you want your best pitcher before it lets you get away. Again, it finished 5-4, but like I said earlier, if anybody team can come up from 0-2, it's this team with all the battles. Like you said, they had to battle to the end by after falling to the Royals and Athletics. What did they do? Turn around and sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, obviously, this Rangers team is a lot different than the Arizona Diamondbacks, and like I said before, this team's playing angry because I know because I'm sure they feel like they have to win the division was like a gut punch to them. So if they wanted to be like they wanted to see the Astros in the playoffs, and that's the team they
yeah.
wanted to be. That's the team they wanted because they
Mhm.
wanted to prove that. And if the Astros lose to, and I know I told you this, but if the Astros lose to Rangers, it's going to be like that little brother that gets you one game, and that's all they talk about because the Astros
Yeah,
won the division, the Astros won the series, that season series, but the Rangers are going to say, "Oh, we won the ALCS," and
that's the thing they're gonna
yeah,
talk about. That's the
yeah.
thing they're gonna talk about. I'm telling you
So
that's what the fans are gonna say.
So in order for if Astros fans don't want to hear that for the whole year or years to come, the Astros need to turn this boat around, and I think they can. You know what? I don't know. I'm not gonna say it, but I don't want to jinx it. But again, this team has the ability to do it, and like Gordon said, there's no panic in this team. Like in an interview, you said there's no panic.
Mhm.
You know, these guys been here before. The experience matters, and they're chilling, right? Maybe Astros fans aren't chilling, but they think they can turn this thing around.
I'll tell you, if it's full of emotions on this roller coaster for the Astros this whole season, fans would tell you, social media would tell you, because it looked promising that they were going to get the division. The next thing you know, you're losing 9 out of your 12 games against teams, the worst teams in the regular season. But like you said, it's kind of being, very optimistic, and you have to be feeling a little confident about how the Astros have played at Globe Life Field. They won 6 of the 7 games at Globe Life Field. They play better on the road. They took the series over there in Seattle. They went 5-1 in the regular season on the road. They won 2 games over there in Minnesota. The Astros have dealt with all the negativity, like you're saying, all the stuff like that. They played in some hostile environments, Fenway, Yankee Stadium. They got to play over there at Minnesota, which it was sellout crowds. Same thing at Red October over there in Philadelphia, right? Which right now, Phillies are winning 2-0 against the Diamondbacks in the top of the six. But you've seen that environment. So the Astros have gone through it all. Cheaters, all that stuff that they hear on the road, the boos. I think they thrive off of it. And like you said, and we talked about it off the air before we started this podcast, if there's one team that could do it, it's this 2023 Astros team. So I predicted the Astros in 6. I didn't think they were going to lose 2 games at home, but you never know. It's baseball. That's the beauty of this sport. So
And then, I mean, and if it's going to be six, they have to win three in Arlington.
yeah, they're gonna have to find a way quickly to turn this series around. Like I said, 2019 vibes. That's how it's feeling right now. 2019. But here's our thoughts on the Astros after 2 games. We kind of like we're already into that category when we're talking about the recaps. But real quick, we did a poll this morning just to see how everybody's feeling. About the after the 2 games that the Astros lost at Minute Maid Park. So at 227 votes as of right now, confident 26%. And right now we have a tie of so-so and worried with
Figure.
37%. Angel, which one you're rolling next to? You're going to the so-so confident, or you're worried? Well, which one are you looking at?
I'm not worried yet.
So you're in the middle, the
Yeah,
so-so kind of thing.
yeah. What about you?
A little bit of the so-so as well. I feel a little, confident, but yeah, you never know. It's kind of that kind of just this series, man. It is just you don't, like we've talked about before. You don't know what kind of Astros you're gonna get. You don't know if you're gonna get the Astros that hit the ball with 10 plus runs, or you're just gonna get the Astros that just in game one. But a little bit of tweets here, in the comment section. I don't know how you could not be worried. Obviously, they can still come back, but let's be real, the chances aren't good at all. Gauge Sheets had said that. Strosbro said anyone who's not worried is silly. Astros have to win 4 of 5 against a team that is fairly evenly matched with them and is also on a hot streak, or their season is over. They just lost back-to-back games with their number 1 and number 2 pitchers going only scoring 4 runs, which is very true. Only scoring 4 runs. And then last but not least, Isaac. They some dogs. They coming back. I like the
I,
confidence right there.
I
Love the
like his
confidence.
energy.
You got to. You got to feel, like we said, you have to feel optimistic about their chances going on the road and being at Globe Life.
And you know who speaking of that Boston team that came back 3-0, that was against the Yankees. That was when
Yeah,
the Yankees were pretty dominant, honestly. So, I mean,
anything
again,
could happen.
it's baseball, right?
All right, Angel. So let's talk about the Astros offense. Runners in scoring position has been a killer for this offense so far through these 2 games, and really the whole regular season, and then plus some of the games in Minnesota against the Twins. So let's real quick. Game 1, they were 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position. They left 6 on base. Game 2, 0 for 6, 0 for goose egg. runners in scoring position, as well as 6 left on base. And we've talked about it, and we a little bit of with game 2 recap about the bases loaded being with no outs in the 5th inning, game changer right there. Credit to Nathan Uvalde, he did pitch good. His split finger, if you had seen the replays on throughout the game or even looking at the game, that pitch was working for him. And Astros should have kind of like knew that was coming, but of course it didn't happen. Like Angel said, Yainer Diaz and Jose Altuve struck out. Alex Bregman ground out to Josh Young, and that was going to be my question for later, which was now.
I'm bad. I'm bad.
No, you're good, but I mean that's what I was going to ask. Should Yainer be in that position? Bases loaded, no outs, pivotal moment of the game right there. And you just said it right there. You don't think he should have. You think Mauricio Dubon should have been
I mean,
in
I can
that
explain
position?
why if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Explain. That's what I was going to say
So
right now too.
yeah. So I feel that what like you said, it's a big time moment. And even though Anier Diaz has been had a great season, 20 plus home runs, 280 plus batting average, but he's been struggling of late. And I can see why he's been struggling. Let's go back to the beginning of the season when he had inconsistent at bats, right? He was
Mhm.
not in the lineup periodically. Obviously, like it's hard to get going. And at that moment, Yanni Diaz repertoire, free swinger. Um, he's gonna swing it at a lot of pitches. And if you saw those first 2 pitches, there were sliders way out of the zone because they wanted him to the chase,
Chase.
right?
Yeah.
But at that point, I think Mauricio Dubon makes sense. Now, I get Dusty Baker's mindset because of that, because it's like you're pitching for Maldonado. So if you put Dubon in, that's it. You only got him from that one at bat because then Yanni Diaz has to come in from Maldonado to
Mhm.
catch, right?
Mhm.
So it's like you lose two offensive, like 2 pieces of your bench in one at bat. So I
Yeah.
get it. But in that situation, Maldonado's more of he puts the ball in play, right? And he has speed. So yeah, he strikes out, but he has the ability to hit a little dribbler or even hit the ball in the air, maybe like the runner tags and scores, right? So I
Yeah.
feel like
Real quick too. He also struck out with bases loaded with 2 outs in game 1, if you remember that.
yeah,
So,
but
but
what
continue.
are, but what are the chances it happens again? You know?
It
So
could happen again, I think.
I mean, it could, but you have to give again.
Give a shot.
Yeah, give him a shot. Like I
Yeah.
think he's deserved it. Like like he had that strong beginning of the first, that 20 game hit streak,
Mhm.
and I remember against the White Sox it was a 0-0 game, and who came in the clutch? Marissa Dubon to win that 1-0 game.
Think about Seattle too. Seattle, he started off with the RBI double, and then the next game he had a 3-run shot.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
I I feel in that situation that's your guy. He has the ability again, like I said, he has the ability. He has contact, right? And I feel like
mhm.
Yannier does too, but they had a game plan for him, and they were going with those sliders away, and to get him to chase back, they threw those fastballs inside, get him thinking, and then bam, throw it again, and that's how they got him.
Real quick update: Kyle Schwarber with another home run, 3-0 Phillies in the bottom of the
Yikes.
6th.
And I was just looking at that, and Christian Walker was up with a runner on second base and 2 outs, and I guess that it.
Yeah. So real quick, back to the Mauricio Dubon talk. That's why I had texted you in our
Mm-hmm.
group chat. I had said Dubon needs to come up in that situation. I
Yeah,
know you're gonna lose another piece of that bench, but think about it too. If they adjusted, if they would have left how the roster was in the first round, I think he would have sacrificed Dubon to be in that moment because then you'll have Jake Myers in the outfield
yeah,
and you'll have Greg Kessinger in the infield just in case.
yeah.
But in that specific moment, Yainer Diaz before that was 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts in the postseason. Now you just add on 0 for 6. Well, not he had 3 more at bats later in the game, but the point is he had so many strikeouts still. You got to give him some time to learn, but not with bases loaded and no outs. I'm sorry. I mean, like you said, Yainer Diaz has had a great season so far for the well, not even so far, but for the regular season for the Astros. But in that moment, Dubon had hit balls better in game 1, which that could have been a factor for him maybe to start game 2. But Dusty Baker does the lineups, and then They all talk about that, but for me, I think Dubon should have had that moment. Yes, you do lose another piece of that bench, but you're giving the guys a chance to come back and win in the ball game. You know, Dubon's going to put the ball in play too. He has a low strikeout rate as well. So, oh, eh, that one stings a lot for me. Like that one hurts so much
That was
because
a game. Even though Framber had that rough start, that was the game you saw the Astros can do something. Like this is their game.
mhm.
It's
And it
just
was 5-2 I think at that time as well
yeah.
because
Hmm.
Jordan and Bregman had hit solo shots and that could have been a game changer. That's all I could say about that. Let's move on to speaking of the offense. Let's continue turning that direction. Someone needs to step up. Jordan Alvarez cannot do everything. Michael Brantley can't do everything. Michael Brantley has 2 hits in this series already. He only played game 2. Jose Altuve 0 for 8 in the series with a walk and 2 strikeouts. He has a 160 batting average. Alex Bregman, he's 2 for 8 with that home run, an RBI, 217 batting average. Jose Abreu, the guy that was doing everything in the ALDS, 1 for 7, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Where's the Jose Abreu from the ALDS? And then last but not least, Kyle Tucker. Like you were talking about, this guy hasn't really performed at MVP level that he was in the mid part of the regular season. He hasn't been that same guy. 0 for 8 with a strikeout, like we were talking about with his batting average. It is a .091. That is bad. My gosh, I think Maldi has a higher batting average. I think his is like a 140 something than Kyle Tucker. 3 hits, from 1 through 5, excluding Jordan Alvarez from this order, and Michael Brantley, 1 through 5, have combined for 3 hits in this series with 31 at bats.
It's terrible.
That is very terrible.
Now
How
let's
are
look
you
at
going
the
to win?
Rangers numbers.
Yeah, I don't have the Rangers
No, no, no.
numbers right.
I was just kidding because I'm just saying because they've been hot.
I mean, we'll talk about that here in a little bit with 1 and 2 so far. But real quick with the Rangers though, since we're on that topic, look how they've produced. Jonah Heim RBI, Leody Taveras with a solo home run, the 9-hole hitter. Nathaniel Lowe, he hasn't been hitting the way he's been. He's not that silver slugger from last year into this postseason, but he's putting the ball in play. You're not hearing about Adolis Garcia. You're not hearing nothing about Marcus Semien. You're not hearing nothing about Corey Seager. And that's what you were talking about, Angel, about you can't depend on one player being that superstar like in a basketball game or, even the football game with the receiver. Somebody got to step up because Jordan Alvarez, I'm pretty sure, is already getting tired. He hit 2 home runs battling a flu or
If
coming
the
off
Astros,
that flu game, whatever it is called.
yeah, I was gonna say like if the Astros would have won, that would have been Jordan Alvarez's flu game. But unfortunately, he can't do everything himself.
Yeah. That would have been like Michael Jordan going to Utah with that flu. It would have been talked about everywhere on social media, I would say. But Angel, if we had to predict the lineup real quick because Dusty Baker has informed Kyle Tucker and
I
talked
was
to
about to
him
mention that. Mhm.
about that he is going to be brought down in the order, which is I think it's reasonable because of the way he's been hitting. Maybe he could get something ignited in the bottom part of the order. But how do you predict the lineup going for the rest of this series? What do you see? What changes are you thinking the Astros are going to make with Dusty Baker talking with the hitting coaches?
I think pretty much the same. I think the only thing that switches is Tucker and Michael Brantley. I think they just swap out. Like I don't think too much change might happen. I do see
Mhm.
Jordan going back into that third spot. No, or maybe he even stays in that fourth spot to add a little protection to Michael Brantley as well. But not that he needs it, right? He's just a
Yeah,
professional hitter. But I mean, I can see that. So it's like Altuve, Bregman, then uh, Alvarez, Brantley, Abreu, Tucker, and then I think because he's also been struggling too. Forgot to mention this Chas McCormick. So I
yeah,
say we see Dubon in the lineup again, uh, Pena, and then Maldonado. I think I'm missing somebody, but
yeah.
Maldonado.
Maldi would be the
Yeah.
last one.
But I don't know. I I think 1 through 5 needs like I think they actually need to bring in Michael Brantley's dad and get these guys straight because I don't know if you saw that
That
pregame.
video, yeah,
Yeah. So he, they didn't hire that dude because after that, Michael Brantley got 2 hits. He was leading a little bit. Dad noticed it. Hey, stay back, and he stayed back because his 2 hits were the other way. So,
Yeah,
and I actually again the flu game. Alvarez scoring from first base on that. That's how big this guy is. That's how much he wants to win. 2 home runs and scoring, and then the big man scoring from first base.
for
I would
real.
have been winded by getting the second base, dude. Like,
Rounding
like,
second, you're already
I'm
tired.
saying.
Nah, I honestly think he's so underrated with his legs. Jordan Alvarez is a pretty quick guy for being I don't even think he's even overweight. I'd say he's just in great shape.
So, let me say anything about a
Dude, three, but going back to Michael Brantley, 2 hits in the postseason and 1 through 5 combined has 3 in this series.
guy. You call up his dad. That's what they
Got
asked
to.
him to do.
I honestly think so too. But real quick for my prediction, I'm gonna go back and put Michael Brantley in the second spot of the order.
Okay.
I honestly think you got to. I guess you stay with Altuve being at the top because you've always done that. You give Michael Brantley that 2 hole. I honestly think something needs to ignite this offense in the top part of the order, and I feel like Michael Brantley is that guy to ignite and spark this offense to get going. Because think about it, they'll have to pitch careful to Brantley. You got Bregman next. You could, like you said, you could put Big Man in the 4 hole, or what? Yeah, he'll be in the 4 hole. Jose Abreu 5. Then of course, then you'll talk about Kyle Tucker 6. Yeah, Dubon and Chas McCormick is a good debate, honestly, because Dubon has hit the ball pretty well. But of course, that's just up to the coaching staff. 8, of course, being Pena. 9 being Martin Maldonado.
I could see
But
that with that lefty righty switch.
I think you need to at this point. No offense to Bregman, which he's done a great job in the 2 hole too. Um, but you got to find a way to get offense going in the beginning of the game, especially on the road now. You're gonna have to put pressure on this team. You're gonna have to find a way to get runs. You're gonna have to find a way to get their starters out of the game quickly. Then you could go into that bullpen. So to me, I think the difference maker in the lineup for the next games or just game 3 itself, put Michael Brantley in the 2 hole. You have to.
I can see that. I like that.
So you never know what can happen. But real quick before we get off with our thoughts, I want to get your thought on this quote. Framber Valdez, obviously, you were talking about his start. It wasn't the best start. He just didn't look like Framber Valdez from 2022. He's honestly looked like a different pitcher. I don't know if he's battling something physically or, he's just not mentally prepared. He's just drained. But real quick, that someone had asked him about his start, and he quotes, "I think the quality of my pitches were good. I think they maybe got a little lucky. There were a couple of balls that they didn't hit well that fell for base hits." Continued on with his quote and then ended saying, "I tried to go as far as I could." Angel, what do you think of this quote from a guy that, did not have his best stuff in game 1 in the ALDS? And then game 2, I mean, the Rangers were just aggressive and just hitting them and getting around that ball game quick. What do you think about this?
I think if that's like Lance McCullers saying last year in the World Series, oh yeah, the Phillies got lucky off my stuff. It's just it's just not true. I mean, it's just he was leaving stuff right over the plate, and like you said, they were aggressive, and they were all up on his stuff. Like you said,
Yeah.
um, first 2 pitches were base hits by Seager and Steven, and then after that, not much change. Now, I do want to give him credit though; he did kind of slow down a little bit, in the second inning, but again, he still allowed that home run as well. So it's just, I mean, not much you can
Yeah.
do. I
And
think. Go ahead.
no, well, I was just gonna say too with the error. I mean, that hurt a lot in that
Oh yeah,
first inning. So
yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because if the Astros win in Arlington, Framber Valdez will get a second start in the postseason, and he
I
he
think
might
there has
have
to
it.
be I think there has to be discussions about that, I'd say.
Think so.
I mean, yeah, he is your number 2 guy, but the way the Astros had gotten ready for Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy, like just in case somebody needs to piggyback, I think somebody's going to really have to piggyback off of Framber if they do get to that point. I think.
See, but then that all depends though on how Christian Javier does and how Urquidy
Exactly.
does,
Yeah,
because
you're right.
if they can go deep into games, then perfect. You're right. Okay, maybe they do have a plan, but if if Javier can't pitch five and Urquidy can't pitch five, then you're looking at, okay, we might need to extend Verlander a little bit, or we might have to extend Framber a little bit. So it's just, I mean, it's just I get to play it by game, right? You have to
Yeah,
see
exactly.
how they do, and it's just all about matchup situations at that point. But I think the Astros make the right, because I know how you said that if the Astros had Jake Myers, it could have put Dubon into hit, but I think in this 4 game like 4 out of 7 game series, like 4 to 7 game series, I think
Mhm.
having an extra pitcher was a good call because you have
Yeah,
Ronel
it's
Blanco,
the
right?
right move. It is the right
Yeah,
move.
because like you said, what if Christian Javier can go like can go 4 or 5, right? Or he can't pitch. Well, you have Ronel Blanco that hasn't seen action. Maybe he can eat up some innings and like if he's doing well enough, right? So it's just wait to see. But I don't know, Christian Javier looked good in the playoffs and recently, so maybe there is optimism for that. And it's crazy. He's still on the road again. He hasn't pitched at home in the playoffs, and now he's in Arlington. But I don't know. Maybe the Astros fans don't need to go to Arlington, so they can be a road game for sure. I don't know, but I'm sure it's gonna be like a split stadium, 50-50. But we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how many Astro fans are out there for that. For that series because Astros fans do travel well, especially Arlington's not that far from Houston. It's about about 3.5, 4 hour
Oh
drive, maybe
yeah,
with traffic on 45 North, like we
I made
talked
that
about.
drive. I made that
Yeah,
drive plenty of times.
yeah. So like that, we talked about too, with Bucky's in Madisonville. I'm pretty sure they're getting a lot of money out there with
Oh
this
yeah,
series. So, but yeah, I mean, Christian Javier has looked great so far. Maybe he could be the difference maker. Maybe he could change the whole series around, which we'll talk about that preview here in a minute. But yeah, just real quick on my end with Framber, I think you just accepted, dude. You just got defeated. You got defeated by these guys. They had a great game plan, like you said, Angel. He did throw stuff over the plate. But real quick too, I'm gonna read the pitches. Marcus Simeon only took one pitch for him to get him going. Corey Seager, like you said, first pitch single. Robbie Grossman worked a 5 pitch at bat, and that's when Framber overthrew Abreu. Adolis Garcia just needed one pitch. Mitch Garver, the next one, 2 pitches. So
so his
Bochy
stuff
and
wasn't good.
he was just leaving in the zone, and like you
Exactly.
said, it could be his stuff. I heard that velocity too was a factor. His
Okay,
sinker, his velo was a little down on a lot of his pitches.
okay.
So
Might be like dead
uh,
arm or something. It's pitching so much.
yeah, I mean, you got to think about too. He did pitch in November. Um, I mean, the Astros played a lot of games, so that no excuse. You just, like I said, you just got defeated. The Rangers had a great game plan. Bochy and his staff had a good plan against the Astros and their staff. So credit to the Rangers. They just been playing. They just been outplaying the Astros. I'd say these 2 games. The Astros are just defeating themselves. They have a bunch of opportunities, but just haven't capitalized. So
Yeah, like this series could easily be 1-1, or
yeah,
even
or
maybe
even
2-0
2-0.
Astro. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a big mountain to climb if they're gonna want to make a comeback and try to go to their 3rd consecutive World Series. But it starts with Game 3, and we're gonna get that pitching matchup for you right now. Christian Javier is on the mound, like Angel said, for the Astros. He'll be going against Max Scherzer. Mad Max hasn't pitched a MLB game in a while. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But Christian Javier, his last start at Minnesota, like you said, Angel, fabulous. 5 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 5 walks. Yeah, that's not what you want to hear, but he did get out some jams and 9 strikeouts. And for him against Texas this year, he's only had one start, which is crazy because the Astros have faced Texas, 13 times. But in that start, he wasn't looking good. 4 and a third, 9 hits, 8 earned runs, 8 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He allowed 2 home runs by, if you could guess.
I mean, who's Garcia?
Now, Leota Tavares and Travis Janikowski.
Who Torres been hot.
Tavares has been hot for the Rangers in this CS matchup. But like you were talking about, Angel, I mean, the Astros are going to need him to pitch just lights out like he has been these last 2 games on the road.
Now
They're
I
going
do
to
want to
need
say
that El Reptil.
now I do want to say this is not the Twins. So 5 walks to this team is not is gonna be unacceptable, honestly, because
Hmm.
this team 1 through 9, like you say, is clutch. Now, I feel like the Twins had a little bit weak spot towards like if it wasn't Correa or like they struck out a lot, and that's how Javier was able to get out of those jams by giving big strikeouts. But this Rangers team doesn't strike out.
Mm-mm.
Like that's a difference. So if he starts walking guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Dusty Baker has a quick trigger because yes, he can escape like we saw it last week, like those pressure situations, but it's gonna be like 3 times harder to do because this team could put the ball in play. And at these times when he put the ball in play, like again, the Astros could have changed that game around with that bases loaded, no outs, right?
Hmm.
But he needs to limit the walks, is basically what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be hard to escape those jams against this team.
Yeah, this team, the Rangers offense ranks very well in the American League, at least I could say, with batting average, home runs, hits, OPS, all that stuff combined as a 1 through 9 lineup. They're really good at doing that. Like you said, with the Twins and the Rangers lineup, them are two different breeds right there. So
And
yeah, the Astros are gonna have to find well, Javier's really gonna have to find a way to get going.
honestly, Javier does not have to throw a no hitter to be, a great start for the Astros, but he
No,
has to be
yeah.
pretty darn close. We're pretty darn close.
Like we talked about last episode for the Javier episode for the preview matchup, give us 5 or 6 innings of quality start baseball. Like I said, quality start to be in a quality start, you have to pitch 6 plus with 3 or less runs.
I'm gonna
At
say
least give us something like that. Do you
he needs
think
to
the
have
zero?
0 runs. He needs to have 0 runs. I
So
would
you
say
think the streak continues of scoreless outings in the postseason?
he has to. That's what I see because if he allows 3, I don't know the way this offense been hitting. I think that just might be enough.
Completely agree. Quote real quick before we move on to Max Scherzer. They had asked him at his press conference, considering you guys are down 2-0, what's your mindset entering the start compared to the World Series last year when it was 2-1? I also remember the Astros were down 2-1 against Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. Uh, Javier said, like always, just try and go out there and give the best. Do my best for my ability. Always put it in God's hand and let Him be the one to guide us. And if He decides we get tomorrow's win, so be it. But for me, I'm going to always go out there, try to go out there and compete and hopefully get that win.
The hand of God, like Maradona in Argentina.
No, I
Hopefully,
don't
bro.
know. Yeah, I mean, Javier is going to need the power of
A-
Christ. So
And and he also said his favorite reptile was a crocodile. So because they're cool and legs in that same meeting. So he needs to be
he's done it. He's
cool
done
as
it a
a
bunch of
crocodile.
times. Cool as a crocodile. Real quick, back Scherzer. Last start as a long time ago, Angel, when everybody was talking about his diagnosis being out for the season. Well, he's back on this roster, and of course, Mad Max is going to be Mad Max. He's going to go out there and pitch his butt off until his arm falls off. But very risky move on the Rangers' part because if he gets hurt in this postseason, there's a possibility that he can rupture something in his throwing arm and possibly be out for the regular season for next year. So, very risky move by Bochy and his staff. But last start was against the Toronto Blue Jays on September 12th. September 12th. 5 1/3, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Hasn't pitched in over a month, like I was mentioning right now. Has thrown some bullpens and some live BP to, against his teammates. But Scherzer has faced the Astros this season twice, once with the Mets and once with the Rangers. The Mets, on the other hand, lights out Mad Max. 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. The only earned run that was in that game, Yiner Diaz. Yiner bomb. So I don't know if Yander's going to get some type of shot in this game, but we'll see. But the last start was with the Texas Rangers on September 6th, and that's when the Astros had gone to Globe Life and swept them. He pitched 3 innings, 6 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Home runs were made by Yordan Alvarez, of course, Michael Brantley, and Jose Abreu. Angel, a starter like this that hasn't pitched over a month against a team, a Major League Baseball team, which team is benefiting more? You think the Rangers or do you see more of the Astros since, like I said, Scherzer hasn't pitched He has thrown live BPs against his teammates, but in an actual game setting, I mean, which team do you think is benefiting?
I think some Astros fans might be mad at this, but I think this is advantage Rangers. I think they are set up perfectly the way they wanted to. Take the first two and then have your big game pitcher. And again, yeah, he allowed 7 runs, but do you remember what he did in 2019 with the Washington Nationals in the biggest moment of the World Series? Right, he was lights out.
Yeah.
So this is like Scherzer, just like Verlander, plenty of experience, big time pitcher. I mean, it could go either way. I'm not like I'm not saying the Astros don't stand a chance, but
Yeah.
the way it's on paper, I would say advantage Rangers.
I'm gonna go the opposite with you on that. I'm gonna say advantage Astros just for the fact because I mentioned and I keep exaggerating this word over a month, dude. He hasn't faced an actual team in over a month. You throw simulated games, you throw live BP to guys like it could be Travis Janikowski, it could be Robbie Grossman. Maybe he did throw against Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon, but Astros got some power, some power players on that team, powerhouse players. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker. If Kyle Tucker could find his way, same thing as Jose Abreu, Michael Brantley. I think it's gonna be tough for him. Just like Nathan Uvalde, you remember the Astros had faced him when he came off the IL without getting a rehab stint or anything like that. They put up a bunch of runs on him. Astros could do a great chance of doing that against the Rangers. And think about it too. He's human. This season in 23 was not his best season overall. And think about it last year too in the playoffs. The first game against the Padres at Citi Field, he did not pitch very well. So could be an advantage. You think the Rangers? I'll go with the Astros just for the fact that he hasn't pitched against a great baseball team like the Astros, like the lineup that they have. So we'll see. Never know what could happen.
Yeah, and then the last podcast we talked about the keys to the game, right? You said I'm gonna go over. You said don't let Simeon and
Yeah.
Shearer get hot, capitalize and win the first 2 games. The X factors need to show up. And that was me. For I said Abreu and Pena need to show out, and then defense. Well, the Astros completely ignored our keys to the series, and
Yep.
like completely. Like now, I I don't want to give you credit. I mean, like again, you said don't let Simeon and Seager get hot. They were 2 for 9. They're each 2 for 9. 2 strikeouts for Simeon, 4 strikeouts for Seager. But you saw a glimpse of what can happen when they get on base against that Framber Framber outing. 2 hits and then bam, what happens? Run scored,
Yeah.
right? They did not capitalize and win their first 2 games. And then I said defense, right? And then Jose Abreu, he's like, yeah, they were hard hit, but I think I mean I don't want to bring this to conversation, but I think Yuli makes those plays, and I think the majority. No, I'm not
No,
like
no,
not just
no. A
him, but
Gold Glove. That's a Gold Glove player,
yeah,
which I think Abreu is too. I want to say, but yeah.
and I think most first basemen make those plays. Jose when he dove and it just went right through his glove. Like those are plays he has to make. Like look at that Mancini play for last year. Line drive, he caught it,
Oh
changed
yeah.
and completed, like changed the game around. And it's just when outs are given to you, you have to take them because in the playoffs, outs are so hard to come by. And then Robert Valdez, that dribbler, mishandled. So again, my keys to the game was defense, and completely ignored in both games because Robert Valdez, again, if you recall, misplayed the ball, tried to rush it, throwing error. And then
Yeah.
my X factors in Jose Abreu and Jeremy Pena, both 1 for 7. Jose Abreu, like you said earlier, has struck out 4 times. So completely ignored our keys to the game, and that's why they're down 0-2. But if they start listening a little bit, maybe they start winning.
They listen a little bit. Listen to you. Nah, but I mean, yeah, the X factors, Jose Abreu being one of them. I mean, the guy had a great division series, and then comes to the CS, and he's he's on a milk carton. Same thing as Kyle Tucker. They're both on milk cartons right now, trying to see where they're at. They both haven't performed. The 22 ALCS MVP hasn't performed very well either. He's 1 for 7 himself. Yeah, like you were talking about the defense. Evan Carter took advantage of it, and he's fast. They tipped off a Brady's glove, which you said too that maybe Yuli does make that play. Most first basemen make that play. I think Jose Brady does have a Gold Glove, but I'm not 100% sure. But
I
stuff
think he
like that,
does.
a game of inches right there, just as an example, right there to get the Rangers going. Because after he got on with that double RBI single by Jonah Heim, got the first run on the board. So Astro, I mean, we're not going to put no keys to the game for game 3. We're not going to do keys to the series because they, like Angel said, they just flat out did not pay attention to it. But I mean, the guys have been here before. They've dug themselves in a big hole, I'd say, and they're going to have to climb up that mountain some way, somehow, if they're going to want to go to their third consecutive World Series.
And Jose Brady does not have a Gold Glove.
Oh, he does not. So we can erase that part out.
It's most offensive. He has an MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3 Silver Sluggers, MVP.
Well, that Silver Slugger needs to show up for game 3 for at least this game. Dusty Baker had said it himself, too, that he's not thinking about going 3-0. He has that mindset of going 2-1, 2-2, and trying to make it 3-2 by the end of these, if there is a game 5. So, like you said, Angel, if they don't win today, which we're recording on a Tuesday night, but if you're listening to us, it's Wednesday. If they don't win today, it's frankly, I'd say it's going to be, the Rangers in the World Series.
Yeah,
And
the fat lady's getting ready to sing at that point.
yeah, she is. She's getting her vocal cords going because if the Astros do, which I that's the only part I feel really optimistic about is that they play really well on the road. They play great at Globe Life Field. There is a great chance that they can even this series at least, or even take the lead on it. But that is the end of our show. Continue to follow us at Full Steam Ahead on Twitter, on TikTok as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, FSA Full Steam Ahead on Instagram. Threads, you already know we're there, which we're getting a lot of new followers on Threads, Angel. A lot. But on the podcast platform, Google, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, that's where we're at, Full Steam Ahead. But Angel, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, just don't get any more white hairs on these Astros. Just relax, keep it cool, and see what happens.
Yeah, light those candles up too if you have to, because they're gonna need all the
Double your
prayers.
candles if you have.
Yes, like Javier said, it's up to God and it's in his hands if they're gonna want to win. So light those candles, say a prayer, because the Astros offense it really needs it right now, honestly. But that's it for the show. We will talk to y'all if there is a game 5. Maybe we'll have a episode then. But I think game 3s and game 4 we'll probably just let it ride. And if there's a game 5, then we'll get something going. But till then, y'all stay safe out there. Have a good week, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Peace.